Hey everyone, just want to stop by real quick before this podcast starts and say you should like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to follow me on all my social medias at John D. Clouser, the same name as the name that you subscribe to on this YouTube channel. So enjoy this clip, and I'll see you guys on the other side.
Welcome to The John Show with your host, John Doogie Clouser.
All right. What is going on, everyone? We are here on a new episode of the Juan Solo Show with your host, me, Juan D. Clouser, or John D. Clouser, whichever one you want to go by. Whichever one you prefer, actually. Episode 143. What's happening, Captain? That's not the title, but what's going on? Hope you guys are doing well. It's another week. It's a great time to be alive. It's a great time to be an American. Pull out your Budweisers. Pop the top. I don't know if you guys have heard. As of tonight, this is what time is it right now? It is 11:12. My heart rate's 100 beats per minute right now. Isn't that crazy? It is 11:12 p.m. on November 15th. Donald Trump tonight, he announced that he's running for president again, which is great, which is hilarious. Interesting. It's going to just be like, oh, okay, that's great. So all the people who I found out that I don't, in retrospect, what I'm going to do this time around, first time around, people get upset. They're like, can you believe someone such and such voted for Trump? Oh my God. And that you just got this, you've got this opinion on this person. Or you're supposed to have this opinion on this person, how like they're an awful person, which in turn I'm like, probably not, because don't we both want the same thing? We want America to be great. We really do. No pun intended here. We really do. We want America to be good. Because what's the point? Because if it's shitty, then it sucks for everyone. It doesn't matter what side you're on at that point. Some people would say it's kind of shitty right now, but anyway. So you get this opinion of someone, you just like kind of like almost disown them in a way. Just you would just break off all contact, or you just have this like, oof, this flag would come up about them. And so this time around, I never really did that the first time. You just kind of like, okay, well, that's interesting. Well, maybe maybe you just don't like brown people. So that's always what I was always thinking. I was always like, well, maybe they don't like brown people that much. Because my own mindset was like, he really built that campaign around not liking or trying to get rid of brown people. I get it. I understand. There's a lot of what you would say illegal immigrants. And what happens is that they do come here. They do take jobs, but they take jobs that people positions that no one wants to do. I know a lot of foreigners, man. I know a lot of other foreigners who work really hard and really hard workers, just because we have no other choice. We have to support a family back home. There's something about there's certain things, and. Yeah, so that was the big thing with Trump the first time around. So if he does win, or people who do vote for him, because what's going to happen, it's going to be a big thing. You're going to see these Trump flags again. You're going to see Trump hats. You're going to see all of it come back up from the woodwork. It's just all going to come back up to the surface, which is fine. Because in retrospect, it really doesn't upset me. The only way it upsets me in any way is if like something to talk about. Because if I didn't do any of this stuff, if I didn't do any film stuff, I didn't do podcasting, I didn't do any sort of trying to make art that then somewhat reflects humanity, then I wouldn't give a fuck about any of this. I would not. My head would be so far up my own ass that I would have no idea about the presidency. I would have no idea about anything that's going on around the world. I wouldn't have any idea about anything. I would have maybe 2 or 3 things: my job, gym, and that's about it. I would be the biggest meathead in the world if I didn't have, because when I do this, and I write, and like you have to read and you learn stuff, and then I'm somewhat pretty cultured, and even though being cultured, uh I would still be a meathead if it wasn't for me doing all this stuff, all this podcasting and lighting and filmmaking and all this stuff. And so, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I really wouldn't care, but I care in a sense because I have to have an opinion. Like, and I don't know, because I just want people to be happy. Believe what you want. It's the same thing with like gay people. Or I hate always using that example. I shouldn't use that example, but it would be with anything. It's like I don't care if you don't vote for Donald Trump. I don't give a fuck. I don't do it. Do that if that's really what you want to spend your time on. I spend my time on doing podcasts and watching football and learning random facts about football. Like so, like I have no room to talk at all. So do what you want to do. Some people like to paint. It's barking. I think it's the bark. It's just the barking, isn't it? For anyone, it's just that. That's what you get annoyed about, and that's what kind of kills it. Because in retrospect, if you just had Donald Trump, he said his stuff, you'd think he's a fucking clown. You think of a horse, or a clown, a horse's ass, whatever, and then you just move on. But because you have then people who you are around, people who you grew up with, people who are in your family that will bark about this shit. And that's what causes this whole fucking ripple and the circle, and it stirs the whole fucking thing up. But I really, in retrospect, really don't care because I'm just going to sit back and I'm going to look at this. And I'm like, I do think it'd be hilarious because I do think he really would try to put a foot up Putin's ass and deal with the whole Russian shit. I do think he would do something like that because I do think he did have a pretty good foreign affair. I hate, people are like, oh my God, how could you ever say he did anything good? But like in retrospect too, like I got the most money back on my taxes I've ever gotten since being an adult with him in office. I hate saying, I shouldn't say even saying that. It's the president. That's what he should be doing. He should be doing things. Not every president can do everything. He can't juggle all the balls. Some of them are going to fall. Because it's an impossible job. Think about it. Would you want to do that job? It'd be impossible for you to do it, let alone someone else to do it. Let alone someone who has such a fucking massive God complex, because that's the only reason why anyone would be willing to even become the president, is because they want to have this sense of power. Like, that's the most craziest position in the world to have. Most craziest thing. But, it is what it is. It's just part of the game that we live in. But it is hilarious because we're like, oh, huh. So this is happening. So boom, this is the Republican gonna have. This is what the Republicans have. Who are they gonna pull out for the fucking Democrats? Because there's no way there can be a fucking more than just two parties. It can only be two parties. No more. Really started off hard on this, right? I think it's funny. I think it's cool. Does it matter? Does it fucking matter? It's just interesting because it's like, what are we doing? It's just we're just running around with our dick in our hand as a country. I'm a whatever. I am kind of like, well, if this keeps on going, then we're gonna. Something's going to hit the fan hard. Something's going to hit the fan really hard. And I don't know. I also do feel like he might have pissed off enough people, Donald Trump did, to maybe cause some sort of ripple effect backwards where people just will not support him anyway. But again, he has a lot of money, so he can support himself, his own campaign. So we'll see. It'll be very interesting. It's just like, oh well, we get to hear this again. It'll be another. So it'll be 12 years basically of hearing about him whenever there's an election. So every 4 years, I guess it just be every 4 years. So yeah, we haven't heard about him in an election and like all that stuff, because it's so funny because the elections, because we just had the primaries and all that stuff, the midterms, right? And when you hear like the stuff like the Missouri, because I live in Missouri, you hear like the Democrat, like, well, this it'll be like a Democrat commercial, like, well, this Democrat, you know, is this person, but then like they would talk about all they do is they talk about the other person. It's like this Republican didn't do this and supported that, and that's why this happened, and so that's why you should vote for this Democrat. And it's like, what? You didn't tell me anything. All you did was just bash that person. It doesn't make me want to. It makes me not like them, but doesn't it now makes me like, what do you believe in though? Because all you said was all this bad shit. You literally said nothing about what you want to do, what you believe in, where you come from. You just bash the shit out of this other person because they fucking breathed wrong, because they comb their hair the wrong way. So I'm just sitting here. I'm like, well, this doesn't make me want to vote for either one of you. I don't want to vote for anyone, because it's just, all this is just a giant fuck fest of, I'll scream and see if you can scream louder, and then if you scream louder, I'm gonna just then try to rebuttal it by screaming even louder. That's all it is. It is the most insane shit in the world. But you gotta love it. It's America, and it's funny. People still come here, so it means that like our country's kind of doing something. It is funny though. People do come here. Still, it's interesting because I just got introduced to this man who is from Ghana, and he is working to get his master's degree, and I think that's so awesome, because he's probably like the first generation trying to do this, and he's just up here in Missouri out of all the states. You know, I don't know. I always wonder, because I guess I can ask myself that. What do you think? But I was young enough where I didn't have like this mindset of what I thought America was. I was just so goddamn confused at being the fact that I was getting adopted and going from like third world to first world. What's funny, like apparently you can't say that anymore, first world, second world, third world, because it can make people feel upset or feel like they are less than or something like that. It's like the same thing with like the gender stuff. If you misgender somebody, it can offend them. I don't know. I wouldn't really. I came from the third world, but I think people who are indigenous, as well as like of people of color, which I'm both, it's so. Then yeah, you can say it. I think you can say it, but white people can't say it, which is, again, these are just sounds. These are just sounds that we do. We just make sounds, and like in a weird way, you were around a group of people who had the similar sounds, and you understand my sounds. That's all, because this all this is a sound. It's not, in retrospect, in the universe and things like this, what I'm saying has no merit, has nothing. It's just me making a bunch of noise in a different frequencies and within different inflections and with different mannerisms and hand gestures. Mannerisms, I guess, mannerisms and hand gestures are closely the same thing. So, but you know what I mean. So we lay on the fact that, like, yeah, of course you shouldn't try to be mean and offend people, but in retrospect, we put so much merit on certain words or certain phrases or certain beliefs and words that come from those beliefs, and they're just sounds. We're getting upset by sounds. when you really get down to the nitty gritty of it, that's literally what it is. But again, like I'm saying, don't be mean. Saying that shouldn't give you free will of like being a complete cunt, but again, it's okay. But yeah, and that was my soapbox. That was a solid 15 minutes of bullshit. Oh man, did you hear that Babyface, that Blueface rapper? Motherfucker's like attempted murder in Las Vegas. It's like, what did you do to cause? Like, what did you do to want to kill someone? Like, what would happen that'd make you? And like, you're a magician. There's that English again. There's that English being hard. Not a magician, a musician. God, John, you're stupid. Anyway, yeah, people love your music. You have a bunch of followers. You're making money. Like, there's no need to like want to shoot someone. Like, you should like want to put that. I don't know. Again, don't come from that lifestyle, so I wouldn't understand. So I'm not even trying to. I'm not even trying to. I'm not even trying to put myself in this situation because I'm not. And I'm not that culture. I'm just like, damn, man. Like, you're just throwing shit away when you do that, and like you worked really hard. Because I'm assuming that you had, you worked really hard to like be a magician, and then you just piss it away. Because I'd be so mad. Like, what if I got up? I worked so hard all these years to be a filmmaker, started directing movies, and then I just someone didn't want to like fund my movie, so I kill him, and then I get arrested for attempted murder, and like I get arrested at a chicken and waffle place like this guy did. It's like good, googly moogly, man, just rough times, rough. But yeah, that's the thing. What is it? What else? Donald Trump run again. I don't get people who eat the fat-free shit. I don't get it. Or like the diet stuff. It's just like eat the I don't like that because like there's so many additional stuff that they have to put in there for the diets. I feel. I don't feel. I feel. So because of that, it's like, why don't you just do the normal thing and then just do less of it? That's what I do. Yeah, be more like me, guys. That's really honestly every episode. In some point of it, I always stop and I'm like, I don't understand why nobody or why there's not more people who do things like me. Be like me, because look at me, talking into a microphone, looking into a camera, on by myself. Be more like me. Be like me. Be like me. Be like me. And it's just insane. I do think that's weird. There's certain things I do think like there's like I think is absurd when you try to do stuff at jobs for people and set things up, and when you set it up, people just like they fuck it all up and just rearrange the whole thing. It's like, I made that a certain way so it'd just be easier for you to do your job, because then you could just do the job instead of having to rethink everything. But okay, that's cool. And you're also doing more work for yourself, but all right, you're a fucking moron. And John, you shouldn't say that. You shouldn't call people morons. What does that mean? What it comes down to is this is a therapy thing that I always go back to. It's like, well, why are you mad? And it always goes back to expectation. I expect people to live at a certain level of like just respect in general, respect for themselves, respect for other people. And when they don't do that, it upsets the shit out of me, which is also then in terms probably something that triggers and strums that guitar of being on the spectrum. So here we are. Because that's also the reason why someone would be doing something like this, because they are on a spectrum in some sort of way. But if that's the worst case of my life, if that's the worst thing, then life's pretty good. Like life again, John, could have been way harder. Like, do you understand? Like, I have a brother who lives in Honduras. He works in a mine. He digs in a mine cave. So I could be doing that and not knowing English, not talking into a microphone, having all the equipment to be able to do all that, writing on a computer or a laptop that is strictly just for that. Like, I have a Mac, my MacBook Air. I'm very lucky. I've worked really hard. I buy used, of course, because like I don't need anything crazy. In retrospect, I should have just bought another MacBook Pro, I should have just bought a refurbished one, because that would have worked. I prefer a bigger screen, and next time, I'm probably going to do that, or I should probably maybe sell the air and get. But I'm like, that's so much more work. And like the thing is, like then my third world guilt comes in, and I'm like, John, why are you doing that? Because if you do that, then like that's just so first world. And I don't mean that. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, because if you've been born in the first world, what do you? I don't. You shouldn't. I shouldn't expect. This comes back to the anger and the frustration. I shouldn't expect you to come from the mindset of someone like me, where I've come from, being an orphan, living in orphanages. I shouldn't think like that. And so, but to me, I'm like, fuck, dude, I can't do that. Like, I can't then, like, I'm like, I should sell it, take that money, and use that money towards getting a bigger laptop. And it's like, oh, man. Like, and the thing is, like, I go on Amazon, and then I just get a refurbished, used version of, like, a MacBook Pro. And, like, they're, like, $300-$400, and it's a MacBook Pro. And, it's going to last a little bit. It's going to last a couple more years longer than just a PC laptop. And so that's why I did it. And there's a little bit, I think the software is a little bit better. They're not as customizable, but then that customizable, you also lose a little bit of this quality level I like for what I do. Granted, it's for what I do. Other people do other things, probably would have worked differently. But yeah, so I have this third world guilt where I'm like, I can't do that, because if I do that, then I'm being like gluttonous, and I'm forgetting about where I come from and how I should just be very grateful for what I have. But then again, it's like, well then, John, but you have the resources and the abilities, and you've worked hard. It's not like these certain resources just fall into your life. You've worked hard to get the ability to get this. So because of that, you should be able to treat yourself in a way. Because what's wrong with you wanting to do something because it's going to make your work better? Like, you're not doing it just because you just want to do it, because you've proven to yourself. And that's the big thing too. Like, I like to start small, because you got to take baby steps so you don't burn yourself out. And you got to prove yourself that, like, okay, this is something I do all the time. Like, I've proven myself that I do podcasts. I will weekly do this. Like, I'm on episode 143, like 143. I've done 143 of these every week for the last 143 weeks. So yeah, like, I've shown a level of, so when it comes to, like, if I want to buy a new microphone, it's like, well, John, like, you're going to pay it off in the sense of using it, because, like, you've proven that you will do this week in, week out, whatever, anything. So, like, again, with the writing stuff, like, I write every day. So yeah, I really do write every day. Damn, that really has just become a normal thing. And only, what do they say, that it takes like 23 days for a thing to become a habit, but it takes like 3 months for something to break a habit, or it takes like 6 months to break a habit. But it's just so, but I feel like such a douchebag for doing that kind of stuff. But feeling like a douchebag, that Ticketmaster stuff, I apparently, like, what Ticketmaster, like, fucked up on some things with Taylor Swift. Like, they were doing some pre-sale, and they didn't show that there was any tickets for sale, so no one could buy any tickets. But yeah, that was a thing. Yeah, that one really fell flat. That really fell flat. But here we go. The Taylor Swift fans rated at Ticketmaster as a huge tour pre-sale demand snarls site. Pre-sale for a handful of days of the singer's new tour began Tuesday, but infuriated fans reported the ticket website appeared to crash or freeze during purchase. Customers turned to Twitter to complain about the Ticketmasters not loading or allowing them to access tickets, despite having a pre-sale code for verified fans. I got a code and I am logged into the correct account, but it says I'm not verified, question mark, exclamation point. What do I do? Question mark. A fan wrote on Twitter. Others echoed that complaint with some calling on Ticketmaster to fix this in all caps. Interesting. I'm really glad I waited till reading. I waited to read all that for the podcast because I didn't want to waste my time twice. So I'm glad I only wasted my time once, and it was being recorded in audio and visual recorded. So, woof. Like, okay, it's like, see, that's the shit. That's first world shit that I'm talking about. Like people getting upset. Like, okay, for me, like, if it didn't work, I'm like, well, I guess that's a sign that I'm not meant to do this, and I would just like shut my laptop and just do something else. I would just completely give up on it. I would just be done. I would just okay. I'm like, well, that sucks. I'm like, I really wanted to go, and then I'll just have that story of like, well, I had this pre-code once, and it didn't work for this, Ticketmaster, and then I just kind of like people like, well, did you keep on trying? I'm like, no, I tried once or twice, and then I just moved on with my life. I just was like, well, I guess this isn't a thing because I guess my third world guilt kicked in, and I was like, well, I shouldn't keep doing this because this is really gluttonous, like a fucking turd, like a turd. Oh man. But I hope you guys are doing well. Poland got hit by 2 missiles by Russia. That was a crazy thing that happened today on the 15th of November, 2022. That's kind of an act of war. Even if it was a mistake, it was still kind of slightly a weird act of war. Who knows what's going to go on with that? That was the craziest thing. So yeah, so if you don't really know, Russia is bombing Ukraine, so they were sending some missiles and they shot some, but it went off target and hit Poland, and I guess it killed 2 people. And now it's going to cause a big shit show. So we'll see. Poland won't do anything, I don't think, personally, but we'll see. Well, it's still crazy because crazy. I just hung out with a Polish person this past weekend. Good times. Can really drink a lot. But all those like Eastern European countries can't. Oh, look at that stretch. We got about a minute and a half left, so I don't see that. So yeah, if you guys gotten this far, I really do want to say thank you guys so much. Like, comment, and subscribe. Give it a thumbs up. That'd be really nice. Be safe. Be kind. Do something different. Get a hobby. I don't mean that in a mean way. Even though every time I say that, I feel like it's like, get a hobby, you fucking douche. Like, you fucking bum. You fucking vagabond. Like, get a damn job. No. Just do something cool. Just try something different. I'm gonna mulch the front of a house. So that's going to be something different for me. And I'm going to fail. I'm going to get mad. I'm going to probably buy the wrong mulch. And that's how it'll be. But the thing is, it's a story. And I probably shouldn't even do it because it just snowed today. And it was a light snow. It was not much. But it's like, John, it's starting to become the middle of winter. But it's like, I got to do stuff. Got to try new things. Got to do things to like grow. And that's what you should be doing too. And yeah. I got about 15 seconds left on this podcast. And yeah, be safe, have fun, be good, and chug, 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 chug. Isn't that so mellow? You guys probably didn't hear that at all. All right, bye.